All right, motorsport fans, let's get right into it. Today's explainer is breaking down what has to be one of the absolutely most explosive Sunday final races we have seen all season. We are talking about the 2026 Hungarian Grand Prix at the brand new Balaton Park circuit. This wasn't just another race on the calendar, folks. It was a historic milestone wrapped in utter, unpredictable chaos. We're going to strip away all the outside noise and look directly at the defining moments of this MotoGP class feature race. We're going to break down exactly how the championship was turned completely on its head in a matter of seconds.
Okay, let's dive into this. 100. Just take a second to let that massive number sink in. Coming into this weekend, the entire paddock was buzzing with basically one single question. Could he actually do it? And well, on Sunday, the reigning world champion Marc Marquez absolutely delivered. With this victory, Marquez officially locked in his 100th career Grand Prix win across all classes. It is just a monumental, totally staggering achievement in the sport of motorcycle racing, cementing his legacy even further. But as you'll see in just a moment, actually getting to that top step of the podium in Hungary was anything but a simple Sunday drive.
Let's rewind the clock for a minute to those incredibly tense moments right before lights out. You've got the absolute beasts of the Ducati and Aprilia factory teams lined up fiercely on the starting grid. Sitting on pole position, looking literally dialed in, is Marc Marquez on his Ducati. Now, earlier in the weekend, there were whispers, right? People were saying a lingering shoulder injury might hold him back, that a repeat of his past dominance here was just impossible. But looking at him on the grid, fully recovered and laser-focused, you could just feel the intensity radiating off him. Engines roaring, tire warmers off, the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Let's move to and see how this builds, because to truly understand how this unfolded, we really need to map out the sheer chronological chaos of Sunday. Things went from 0 to 100 instantly. I mean, barely a minute into the race, we had a catastrophic turn 1 pileup. Boom. From there, the race shifts into a grueling 20-minute bar-to-bar battle for the lead, finally culminating in the checkered flag at the 40-minute mark. It was a race defined by one single moment of pure disaster, followed by an absolute masterclass in defensive riding. So the red lights go out, the bikes launch, they funnel down the straight at blinding speed, and then absolute disaster strikes. Just a chaotic, heartbreaking tangle of Aprilia and Ducati machines sliding wildly across the asphalt. As the pack aggressively braked for the really tight turn 1, Jorge Martin made a shocking, catastrophic misjudgment. He locked up the front, completely lost control, and went down like a bowling ball, crashing into the rest of the field. Yellow flags are immediately waving frantically as carbon fiber shatters and million-dollar bikes tumble through the gravel trap. It was pure chaos in the literal blink of an eye. The dust finally settles, and you guys, the casualty list here is absolutely staggering. Jorge Martin's disastrous error didn't just ruin his own Sunday, it triggered a massive 5-bike pileup. He took out Fabio Di Giannantonio on the VR46 Ducati, Raul Fernandez on the Trackhouse Aprilia, and Fermin Aldeguer on the Gresini Ducati. But the most shocking collateral damage of the whole shebang, Martin wiped out his own factory Aprilia teammate and the current world championship leader, Marco Bezzecchi. In one split second of misjudgment, the title favorite was just left standing out there in the gravel, scoring absolutely 0 points. And this brilliantly illustrates the razor-thin line between glory and catastrophe in this sport. Because while the Aprilia racing team watched in absolute horror as their star riders went down and their points advantage literally evaporated in the dirt, Marc Marquez executed a flawless start. He navigated that initial braking zone perfectly, stayed entirely out of the carnage, and made a brilliantly clean getaway right at the very front of the pack. But getting out of turn 1 cleanly didn't mean Marquez had an easy cruise to the finish line. Not even close. As the race settled, a totally new narrative took over: the hunter and the hunted. The bright orange of Pedro Acosta's KTM was absolutely glued to the rear wheel of Marquez's Ducati. Acosta, the young prodigy, he wasn't intimidated by the reigning champion's milestone hunt at all. For the next 20 minutes, we were treated to a breathtaking, high-speed game of chess. It was a thrilling bar-to-bar battle, with Acosta looking for literally any possible chink in Marquez's armor. What we witnessed next was nothing short of a riding masterclass. Step 1, Marquez expertly defends the lead, placing his Ducati exactly where it needed to be on the twisty Balaton Park circuit, shutting the door time and time again. Step 2, Acosta applies immense, relentless pressure. I mean, he's showing him a wheel at every single braking zone, pushing the absolute limits of grip. But then, step 3, Marquez remains just utterly unfazed. He absorbs the pressure, hits every single apex, and flawlessly crosses the finish line to secure that long-awaited victory. Acosta takes a brilliant second, and Francesco Bagnaia quietly but super effectively capitalizes on the chaos to bring his Ducati home for third place. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the amazing human element that happens right after the helmets come off. After all that fierce, totally unforgiving on-track warfare, they get to the cool-down room, and Acosta just looks at Marquez and playfully tells him, "You are lying." It was such a cheeky, wholesome exchange. He was basically implying Marquez had been sandbagging his pace or maybe hiding his true grip levels during the race. It's just a great reminder of the deep mutual respect between these incredible athletes once the checkered flag waves. But, well, while there were smiles on the podium, back in the Aprilia garage, the atmosphere was incredibly dark. The Ducati and Aprilia camps are the two undisputed titans of this season, but right now, Aprilia is fractured. That single chaotic race at Turn 1 caused what the Japanese media so aptly described as a massive tectonic shift in the championship landscape. The friendly fire incident has severely damaged the relationship between Jorge Martin and Aprilia's team management, particularly Massimo Rivola. Make no mistake, the political fallout from this single race is going to be felt for the rest of the year. So the crucial point is exactly how this tectonic shift looks on paper. Yes, okay, Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin are still sitting in first and second with 180 and 160 points respectively, but look closely at this. They scored absolutely nothing today. A big goose egg. The only reason they are still at the top of this table is because of the massive margin they built up earlier in the season. Aprilia has barely maintained their advantage. Meanwhile, DG Antonio holds third despite the crash, Acosta is right there in fourth, and surging up the ranks to fifth place is our race winner, Marc Marquez. The reality of this situation is stark. That championship gap is shrinking rapidly. By sweeping the weekend, meaning winning the sprint on Saturday and the feature race on Sunday, Marc has secured a perfect 37 points. In just one single weekend, he has completely resurrected his title hopes. He has dragged the factory Ducati threat dangerously close to the leading Aprilias. What looked like a totally comfortable two-horse race for the Italian manufacturer has suddenly become a wide-open dogfight. Marquez has the momentum. He has his 100th win, and honestly, he smells blood in the water. Which brings us to the ultimate question as we wrap up this explainer. The aftershocks of the Vallotton Park earthquake are far from over. Jorge Martin is facing severe penalties for causing that massive Turn 1 crash. The Ducati camp is surging with renewed confidence. And the Aprilia garage? Well, they're dealing with major internal friction. So, I leave you with this to chew on. Will the crumbling Aprilia advantage survive the next brutal test at the Czech Grand Prix in Brno? The championship is officially wide open, and the next chapter is going to be absolutely unmissable. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time to see how this dramatic season unfolds.